Our next guest helped create an entire genre of music, blending traditional Irish with rock and become one of the most influential bands this country has ever produced.
Please welcome the founding fathers of Celtic rock, Barry Devlin and Jim Lockhart from Horslips. Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
Do you get sick of it? Do you get
cry from...
sick? Do you get sick of Derek Doom?
No, you couldn't. I know.
Thank you.
It's rocking. Yeah.
It is, but you don't. Every single time it's played, every single time an Irish football team is put together, you're like, let's go.
Well, no, it's absolutely true. And I mean, was that the Derek Doom riff meant that a whole generation, I mean, the 3 generations on, there are people who kind of know the riff but aren't too sure who wrote it. And are probably going to be profoundly disappointed with to see who actually did it. No, but it was us, guys.
Exactly, and the legacy and the good mood it puts people in. Yeah. But I just think it's the nostalgia factor, because it's not just that song. We were talking about this morning. It's the theme tune to Glenroe as well, which was the theme tune of so many people's Sunday night's ritual as a family in Ireland.
I never knew till years later that the Glenroe theme tune was such a bad vibe for kids, because it meant that their Ecker wasn't done for Monday morning. You think, oh, God, no,
I know. Honestly, I used to dread it, but it meant we could stay up for an extra hour before being put to bed.
Jim, as a purveyor of of despair and then Betty Bye songs, seems appropriate enough.
Betty Bye songs, Jim. Yeah. Barry, how you got together as Horslips is fascinating. Yeah. How did it all happen?
Well, fascinating and deeply depraved, really. I was in advertising in a company called Arcs, and 2 other guys in the company had arrived the same week as me, Charles O'Connor, our fiddle player, and Eamon Carr, our drummer. Mm-hmm. And I wrote this ad for, I think, Harp. Are you allowed to say Harp?
You can say Harp, say whatever you want.
And it involved a band playing to kids in a disco. And the director came over from England, a guy called Jerry Poulson, and he went off to interview a bunch of beat groups, as they then were. And he came back and said, my dears, they're all so spotty. Is there a beat group in Dublin who isn't completely covered in spots? And then he looked at us and he said, you've all got lovely clear skin. Do any of you play instruments? And we went, yeah, we all play instruments, which was a lie. And he said, all right, you're the band. And so we became the band for the day, and we needed a keyboards player. And I had just left college. Jim was still there because he was kind of put back a class. And so I said, I have the very man for you. He'll be crossing the top, going into lectures at the top of Stephen's Green. And so I ran up to Stephen's Green. Jim wasn't known for going into lectures, but as it happened, he was going in that day. And I said, you want to be in a band? And he went, yeah. And there we were.
Well, this is it. So you had the band, but you didn't have the name. Jimmy, tell us about how the name The Horslips came about.
We wound up in a Chinese restaurant after filming that commercial, and with an overdose of monosodium glutamate, the conversation went downhill. And because there were 5 of us at the time, somebody said, what about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? And somebody else said, oh, yeah, 4 poxmen of the Horslips. And we couldn't call ourselves poxmen.
Well, maybe we should have, all things considered.
So that's it. That's how the Horslips came about.
Yeah, and so for the first couple of iterations of the name, it was YPSE, HORSLYPS, like apocalypse.
Yes.
And then we went, I think that the guys on the TV show that we were on said, there isn't enough letter set for your name. So
okay.
Do it as spell it as you should.
IPS, yeah.
You're here today with a brand new record that was recorded in 1978, Jim. And this is, tell them about it, Johnny, but this is Horslips live at Winterland. Tell us about this.
Live at Winterland. Winterland was this iconic venue in California. And loads of amazing albums were done there. Hendrix, Clapton, everybody. The Last Waltz was filmed there. And we had a friend of ours in California sent us a tape that he had recorded off the radio of us doing a concert there. And we had to listen to it a couple of years ago, and it wasn't usable because a couple of the vocals weren't audible. And audio technology came on a bit, and we were able to dig the vocals out of the mix and bring them up so that you could actually hear the vocals. And we thought, actually, maybe we can use this, because it was always really exciting to hear. But it was just, we thought, it's not quite good enough. And suddenly, with the newer technology that was available, it became doable. So we got it done. We have this wizard sound man in Germany who's completely bonkers. And he did an amazing job in it, and we're delighted with it. So this is the lost live album in the famous Winterland.
A quote is, "It's a cauldron of pure molten rock."
I love the vibe.
Come on.
Hey, listen, you were involved in advertising. Did you design it around the Garda logo?
Is it recruitment drive?
I mean, honestly.
Actually, an American police badge.
It's an American police badge. I was thinking the guards are into the Horslips now.
Although pretty much every Garda inspector now, they're retired, had been at Horslips gigs keeping orders. So we kind of knew every cop in the country.
Because it's kind of the iterations of Horslips has been amazing. Obviously, the first time when you break up and you get back together, and then I remember Colin Meaney's speech in intermission, talking about the gods, the Celtic rock, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing, people rediscovering you all the time. But when you are together, when you get to play a gig, when you get to talk about this sort of stuff, you seem to have such joy.
Well, it's the best thing you could be doing.
I know.
It is absolutely the best thing you could be at. It's brilliant.
And Jimmy, riffing out, when you were compared to Jimi Hendrix, back in the day, do you know what I mean? This is the level that you were at. This is the level that Irish rock was able to get to.
What do you mean were?
Well, but this is you pretty much were teaching them what to do. But to rock out, was it Albert Hall? Whatever else, they said that legendary performance. Do you look back at that with such? Do you still remember those times?
I don't remember very much. I have to ask Barry what I did.
Okay.
They were overdosing on monosodium glutamate.
A lot of monosodium glutamate, I have to say. Jim's standard response to anything just to look at me and go, "Was I there?" And famously, on one occasion, I said da 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 da, and Jim said, "Will I be there?" So he's covering the linear nature of time is well covered by him at this stage. It's actually a good story about the Jimi Hendrix thing. When we played the Royal Albert Hall, I think it's the New Musical Express, as someone said, not since Jimi Hendrix has a band played so loud in the Albert Hall, which is great. Well, that was a great piece of publicity. So at one stage, we were abroad and we wanted that to appear, and we phoned, I think, our secretary and said, "Will you..." Eamon sent a letter, that was it, saying, "Please send on to the NME the quote that goes, 'Not since Jimi Hendrix, blah, blah, blah,'" meaning the rest of it. But in fact, what the secretary sent was a press release that said, "Not since Jimi Hendrix, blah, blah, blah," and that was what people thought it was incredibly cool.
They just don't care.
They just don't care.
These Irish Celtic molten rock gods.
Jimmy who?
But since you came, it's so interesting. You were going across Stephen's Green, Kismet, going to college for the first time, advertising people. I didn't realise this. We can blame you for Alan Hughes.
Yeah, my gift to the future was to set Alan on a path that he has blazed relentlessly ever since. As in the ad for the ESB, I think I'm going back with Dusty, the late great Dusty. Look at that.
You wrote that ad?
I'm afraid so. Yeah.
And look at him now.
Look at him now.
Look at him now.
Look at him now.
There we go.
Can we have a picture of his house, please?
I think he's still getting royalties off it, all right.
The residuals, it came back on telly a few years ago. He was like, "Nice one, that's back." Are you getting the residuals, Barry?
What's the residual?
Was I there?
I'm still stitching shoes in a sweatshop.
I'm sure you're not now, between the Glenroe lads and all that. But sure, you did Ballycay. You did, what was it, A Man of No Importance?
Albert Finney.
Albert Finney. Yeah. That was such a gorgeous film.
At the time, it got a bit of a kicking in England because there was a view among certain members of the press that a straight man shouldn't be writing a piece, particularly a funny piece about a gay man.
Okay.
But it's become the big Finney movie now, and it was the one they chose when he died. I was very thrilled to play as not Tom Jones or any of those, just a man of no importance. So that was great.
And
It
it's
was finished well.
him and Michael Gambon, you know, obviously with the Irish roots, and Brenda Fricker in it. Anyway, it's a gorgeous film. If you've never seen it, it's a fantastic film.
Listen, this is back out. It's a phenomenal. Just the nostalgia, everything about it. It's wonderful to see. What's next?
Good question.
He's looking at Barry going, Barry, what's next? Am I going to be there?
Will I be there?
I hope there is something next.
There's a few guards coming through the system, and you're going to be performing, getting them all G'd up for it. But like, are you going to like perform and whatever?
Well, we're doing the NC. Hey, well, yeah.
We're doing a few kind of talky things, the pair of us, where we just sort of chat, and because Irish music and Irish stuff is kind of having a moment again. And so we can blather about that. So we're doing a few talky things here and there.
We're playing with Paul Muldoon in the NCH, and
we're getting up with Pat McManus. We're getting up with Pat McManus in Ballyshannon in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
Which will be fun at the Rory Gallagher Festival,
It'll be great crack. And the NCH,
yeah.
Oh, God, when they get the new organ as well,
It's
you'll
going to
have
be
to go
class.
inside there.
Barry Devlin and Jimi Lockhart, Horslips lads, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure having you, and thanks so much.
Pleasure being here.
Tell them about it, Johnny. There you have it.